trading on the Rwanda Stock Exchange started on a low note this week with no major movements in equities. However, the bourse saw light movements last week. Jacques Gashugi, investment service and market research analyst at BK Capital, spoke to us.
Last week was a pretty good week for the markets. Around 577 million Rwandese francs of equities were traded. And we had about close to $1 billion, about 940 million Rwandese francs also traded in bonds. Both of these values are 4 week highs. So in the last 4 weeks, that's the highest turnover rate we've had in both markets. And it's looking pretty solid. It's a good start to the month. The Rwanda share index went back to 109.61. And with that, most of the trading last week happened with over 50% of the trading value for the week happened with Rwanda, although its share price remains the same at 170. BK shares, which had finished Q3, so the end of September, at 265, the share were back at 272 Rwandese francs a share. Which is what they roughly traded for most of the part of Q3.
And then it doesn't seem as though there were major price movements last week. Only BK registered some slight price movement last week. What happened?
Yes, so as I mentioned, BK shares kind of finished the end of September at a lower end at 265. Most of the quarter they had traded around 262. So there had been quite a few sell-offs happening at the end of the month. And BK as well as MTN, as you may know, are some of the most cherished stocks on our market. So you can always expect BK to kind of be part of the turnovers every week. So it's not that much of a surprise that there's an appetite for it. So it's not that much of a surprise that it went back to 272. People are really looking at that company, and most people are also looking forward to the Q3 results that should be coming out next month. So it's not really a surprise that they're back at 272 francs per share.
And then how is how's Rwanda's Eurobond currently trading? How is it performing?
Sure. So the Eurobond, the yield is back at around 10.27%. It's been roughly going back up for the past month or so. And that's mostly since the US Fed increased again the central bank rate by another 75 basis points. So it's caused a lot of turbulence in the currency market. The dollar has gained a lot of strength in this last third quarter. I think the Rwandese franc has depreciated about like 1.3% in the last quarter over the dollar. And so just overall in emerging markets, there's a fear from investors that some of the countries that have raised Eurobonds, Rwanda included, may have issues, paying back their debt since Eurobonds are paid back in dollars. And basically with the rise in dollar and the depreciation of other currencies, this is a fear that investors are having. So they're pricing in that possibility that some of these countries may have issues paying back, which is causing yields to go back up. We hadn't been in the double digits segment for our yields for a while now. So it's something to monitor, and hopefully that should in the upcoming months hopefully go back down if things do not get worse, especially with the dollar increasing its value. That's the main thing I think that is to take notice of, is how much the value of the dollar keeps on increasing. If it's an increasing trend, we may see higher yields as we go to.
And Jacques, that brings me to my other question, because we saw Rwanda saying that they want to raise a green bond as part of the IMF commitments under the Resilience and Sustainability Trust package that they received. The question is this the good time to go to the market if, if already investors have that fear of, the issuers might not be able to pay back?
Green bonds have had huge appetites in the recent years. As there's a larger shift in the trend of investing now, you see more investors wanting to make sure that they're doing socially conscious decisions while investing. And so we're seeing a higher trend for higher appetite for green bonds. Now, is this a good time to issue one? I would say maybe not. Most of the bond markets right now are frankly in shambles. There's a lot of things happening, whether it's on the currency side, but also just a lot of sell-offs happening on the international bond scene. So I would say that the country is probably looking at all this and being a bit cautious. And I would say most analysts would say this is not the best time to issue a bond. Although, like I said, compared to other type of bonds, typically green bonds are seeing more of an appetite on the market in the past few years.
And then, Jacques, before I let you go, some other major economic developments we saw is the IMF upgrading Rwanda's economic outlook from 6% to 6.8%. Did you see this coming?
Frankly, on my end, I did not see that coming. And that's mostly because most of the growth outlooks that we've had for most economies there's been a trend of lowering them as the year goes by. For example, yesterday, the IMF released its World Economic Outlook report for Q3. And growth outlooks for most of the economies around the world were revised to the lower end. And as I mentioned, it's been a lowering trend since the beginning of the year. So I think it's a good sign for the country that while global economic outlook seems green at the moment,